Hello everybody, this is my discussion 3 response, geographical location and settings, in reference to scriptural evidence. So, in the days when there were no kings, is my title, and it says as follows. There was a significant amount of time when Israel and the surrounding territories had kingships. No one in control of the political power. Now, the location, Geography 3, we have Canaan, the land of Canaan, just before the rise of Saul. And I want to make a clear distinction that that time period was a very long time, at least according to AI Overview. So, in this paper, I will describe a few specific locations that reveal that in general. We will discuss why it was so. We'll look at relevant historical evidence that will connect the geographical context and scriptural events surrounding such information, and we will see why it's more useful for the latter part of the Jewish nation. Why would it be more useful? So the book of Judges is where we find this exact occurrence, with no central agency or nothing. People did as they liked, even if they were to kill one another. It was very dangerous, and in the period lasted for a very long time. Because of this, sin and debauchery occurred. The social problem existed for one person who was pure, clean, and moral, for example. So, let me ask, had he agreed with the crowd and did as everybody else did and followed the herd mentality? Would his life been safer? Well, what about chasing the game, or tripping out, or maybe ending in a hog pen after a long run of perverse sin? Maybe, maybe not. And I will explain why it's maybe or maybe not. So, there's a split that occurs between this religious experience that I'm going to describe. And the story goes like this. This moral man is in a field, and another man swings an axe, but the axe handle separates from the blade, and the blade hits the man and kills the moral man, the one that I just described. And the family of the murdered man goes after the murderer, but the murderer has already fled to another city where it's safe and there's a fair trial. So this is according to the scripture found in Deuteronomy 19. So we find here some evidence already that even with some type of judicial system, it was clearly still maybe outdated, maybe archaic, maybe barbaric, in the sense that he still had to flee for his life. For his life was in jeopardy for doing that, even though it was an accident. And so we can come up with the idea that maybe it had occurred a lot of times, and they came up with and developed this process. So imagine today that you've done the same thing. Let alone killing a person accidentally, you also have to run for your life. We find that even the circumstances might be a little bit challenging. Yet, again, like I reiterated, they had a government. It was very unsafe. It felt unsafe. And that's not only not my opinion, that's popular opinion. And we want to be clear that opinion really does matter. Opinion is very important and is essential for if we're making an argument here or any justification. Opinions are very important. And we don't like bias. We're not talking about bias, or we're not even talking about what we could refer to as bull. We're talking about the opinions of people matter. So now, after Canaan and before Saul in this location, how is it answering the ultimate question that we're trying to find? So one, we live in a world that is unsafe and dangerous. We look at the Israelites, we look at their nation today, we look at the struggle between the old, scary, disturbing, industrial complex of military institutions where there's a split between the Abrahamic faith, between Judaism, between Islam, and between our Christianity. And so there we find that living in a world that's unsafe, and in terms of globalization, and in terms of all of the other bigger systemic issues that are going on, such as the isolationism that's taking place and the polarization, those are all big factors. But as the systemic issue goes further and further, these larger problems, such as polarization and isolationism, lead to even smaller problems that are very big problems. Infanticide, killing infants because they're not needed, bride wealth, and arranged marriages where yet again young women's lives are taken. Genital mutilation where young women's genitals are removed because of misogynistic, patrilineal men that have it out to be in some type of control or in some type of authority. So then we have that, and then two, the establishment or the judicial system that we're talking about doesn't solve anything. Nothing's been solved because it's still unsafe and it's still going on. And pro-Marxist beliefs and atheism and all of those other bigger complex issues, just the communist agenda that's being pushed, is a very big issue in liberalism and things, but also in more conservative points of view, such issues as terrorism and the drug trade, and how terrorism and the drug trade fuel each other, and the conflict with war, such as Iraq and Afghanistan, and all of the trauma that's taken place. And we find that this geographical location and the scriptural evidence points clearly and directly right to that, to up until where we are at this present moment. So I'd just like to say that all these larger issues, they're a warning for us that when that button is pushed, we won't be able to go back. So let us rise up as new leaders and as new Christians and stand on our firm foundation, not on a shaky ground where we crumble and fall away.